Hello, my beautiful soul family, and welcome to another episode of Unshackled. This is Jo, I'm your host, and today we are talking about emotion. I'm currently sitting in a place called Unawatuna in Sri Lanka. I'm sitting here at my desk. I just wrapped up a coaching session and I'm overlooking the ocean, and it is so beautiful, and life is flowing, and things are feeling amazing. And I wanted to jump in and share this energy with you guys. I'm trying to find the right times of day to record. So right now the birds are really loud. It's early in the morning, and if I do it later in the day, the motorbikes get a little bit crazy. So bear with me while I'm recording in these beautiful, beautiful places, but it does come with some noise sometimes. So hopefully this is all clear and you can hear me okay. I just wrapped up such a powerful coaching call with one of my clients, and we've been talking a lot about emotion and understanding emotion. So often when we don't understand our emotion, what happens is we will buffer it. And what it looks like is emotions start to rise in the body, and we don't know how to deal with it. We don't recognize what the emotion is. And what we do is we want to push the emotion down. We want to suppress it. So we might have a drink. We might eat unhealthy food. We might just overeat. Maybe we start to watch excessive porn, excessive Netflix. Anytime we're doing something in excess, it's a sign we're buffering. It could be drugs, alcohol, porn, gambling, overworking. And overworking is something that's overlooked so much because we often praise people for being the super mom or working hard and believing that success comes through this hard work. So overworking is something that can be really overlooked. And a lot of my clients will come to me with things like sugar addiction and emotional eating. And the problem with food is it's not illegal to go and buy 20 Mars bars and eat them in one sitting. And okay, maybe it's not that bad, but you get my point. And what happens with emotion is it's unrecognized. We don't know how to deal with it, so we buffer. And what I want to invite you to do today is to look a little deeper, look a little closer. Where are you buffering? Where is emotion coming up that you don't know how to process? Where is uncomfort coming up? Where is this discomfort coming from? And how do I deal with the initial emotion? So often people are compounding emotion. And then what we do is we try to buffer that emotion, but we're not actually dealing with the initial emotion. So let me give you an example of what this could look like. You're out with your husband and he has this conversation with another woman, and she's beautiful and stunning, and you get home from this family barbecue you went to and he's like, wow, I just had this conversation, it was amazing. And you kind of think nothing of it and you sort of laugh it off, and then something in you feels really uncomfortable and you don't know what it is. And then all of a sudden you feel agitated and you feel angry, and maybe you're snapping at your partner. And then you go to the fridge and you pour yourself a wine, or you start eating chocolate and you kind of feel angry and you don't know why. And then you have your drink and it's all okay and you feel good. What you've done in that moment is you have pushed down the emotion. You've suffocated the emotion. You've repressed the emotion. And now it's deep down inside the belly, and it's going to start to fester and grow. And it will come out in other ways. So when you look back at this situation, and you might look at it differently and think, okay, what was really going on? Or I felt agitated, I felt angry, I had a drink and then I felt okay. But when I look deeper, what was really going on? Okay, so I felt angry. I look back, okay, I felt agitated. My husband started annoying me and I couldn't understand why. Actually, when I really think about it, I feel a little sad. Why do I feel sad? I see. I actually feel jealous. I actually feel insecure. Okay, how do I deal with that insecurity? Okay, now I understand that insecurity. She was a really beautiful woman. I was always believed to think that I'm not that attractive. Maybe I had a critical parent, or maybe my best friend always put me down when I was a young age. And what really needs to be done here is some deeper inner work of understanding why I feel like that. Where did that come from? Where does that insecurity come from? And it's doing the deep inner work to understand, okay, I understand and recognize where this has come from. And now I have the ability to shift it. Now I have the ability to heal that part of myself. I do a lot of work around inner child healing and understanding our conditioning. And what's really common I've seen this with most of my clients, is often one of the first things they will say is, oh no, there wasn't any trauma. There wasn't any childhood trauma. And when I talk about childhood trauma or conditioning, it doesn't always mean that there was physical assault or sexual abuse. Sometimes it does mean that, unfortunately. But it just means there was conditioning. And it might look like this. Maybe you went on a family trip away, or you went to a family barbecue, and then you get in the car and the first thing your parents do was start talking about everybody and criticizing everybody and how they dressed or how they spoke or how they acted, the foods they choose to eat. And when you grew up seeing that, you were conditioned to think that this is how you respond to other people. You find fault in them. And I ask you the question, people who do that, people who need to find fault in other people, why do they do that? And the reason why they do that is because they feel insecure in themselves. They don't feel good about themselves. So what they will do is they will seek externally, and they will try to validate themselves by finding flaws and faults in other people. We've created a multi-billion-dollar industry in selling celebrity magazines. Oh, Mishka Burton had some cellulite. Ellie McPherson had a cold sore on her face. And then the reason we buy into this is because, oh, if she's got cellulite or she gets cold sores too, then that makes me feel better about myself. I find flaws in her so I can feel better about myself. And unfortunately, this is the way that society operates. This is the way we've been conditioned. I remember when I was 13 years old and my mum bought me a girly magazine like Cosmopolitan or something. And I remember going through the magazine and just feeling like rubbish about myself. There was a segment on there about cosmetic surgery, and all of a sudden I was like wanting to get all this cosmetic surgery done so I could look like the girls in the magazine. And even at 13 years old, I realized how messed up that was. This is not healthy, and I never read another one of those magazines again. And when this has been our societal conditioning, no wonder we might feel insecure about ourselves or our bodies or the way we look or the way we speak or the way we act. Society has conditioned us to feel like this. Maybe it came from younger years. Maybe your parent never put you down, but you watch them put themselves down. You watch them criticize themselves. You watch them yo-yo diet. You always heard the word, I'm on a diet. All of this is conditioning around how we feel about ourselves. One of the processes I often go through with my clients is them saying, oh no, I had a great upbringing. My parents were so kind and so loving. And when we look a little bit deeper, it doesn't mean that they weren't kind or loving or they're amazing people. But when we look a little deeper, there is always a level of conditioning there. And it's such an interesting process to take people through this, because so often it's unrecognized. And when it's recognized, we have these massive aha moments, these massive realizations of, yes, now I see where my insecurity comes from. Now I see where my anger comes from, or my emotion comes from, or why I act like this in certain situations, why I behave like this. And part of this process is really understanding and connecting to what is the initial emotion. What is really going in? What was the first layer that I started to compound all these other emotions and then start to buffer? It's getting deep, it's understanding that and giving yourself an outlet. Emotion is energy in motion. Emotion, energy and motion. And when we trap that energy, when we don't let it move and flow through us, it gets trapped and it festers and grows. It may look like cancer, heart disease, anxiety, depression, agitation, loneliness, sadness, helplessness. So where can I look a little deeper? Where can I start to understand myself and where these emotions come from? How can I get connected with my own emotion? How can I sit there and be okay with the emotion? Guys, this has been the biggest journey for me. I was completely incapable of showing and expressing emotion. I could go through the biggest trauma and I would bottle it up and I would convince myself that it didn't even impact me. And I would go about and I would smile and be happy. It wasn't okay for me to show sadness or hurt or anger. I believed that it was weak to be vulnerable. I believed that it was weak to show emotion. So I didn't, and I judged other people when they did. I felt uncomfortable when people cried in public or they ran to their partners when they were upset. It's actually really healthy. But I was so incapable of understanding and recognizing my own emotion, and forget even showing emotion. That wasn't even on the radar. That wasn't even a thing. And then what happened? At age 37, a really nasty cancer diagnosis. A tumor that was bigger than the size of the fist growing in my armpit, 1 millimeter off my main artery, growing in behind my left breast. Doctors told me in 5 years' time I likely won't be here. And I had a choice. I had a choice to continue living the way I was living and processing emotion the way I was processing it. Or let's say not processing it. Continue bottling things up and pushing things down and letting them manifest as disease in my body. Or I had a choice to do things differently. I already ate healthy. I already exercised. I already had a wellness degree. Yet there was a massive piece of the puzzle that was missing for me. And that was vulnerability, emotion, being okay and sitting with it. And the honest truth is, guys, when I went through these huge processes of dealing and processing with emotion, it was freaking ugly. It was hard. When you've never allowed yourself to really feel emotion and experience and be with it and be present, it was scary. When you've never experienced that deep emotion, it feels like the world is ending. When you're so unfamiliar with emotion, bringing it in is the most uncomfortable thing that you think you're not going to get through on the other side. But let me tell you this, on the other side of emotion is massive freedom. But you've got to be willing to sit with it. You've got to be willing to feel it. And most people aren't prepared to do that. It's uncomfortable. It doesn't feel nice. But on the other side is huge relief as your freedom. A lot of my clients will come to me for emotional eating or overeating. Maybe it's overdrinking. And when we go through this process of unraveling our emotions, unpacking it and understanding, I will take them through this process and I will get them to understand the initial emotion. And when I talk about, tell me what you feel. What do you feel when you're in that process and you're about to start binge eating? Oh, I feel excited. I'm like, hang on, let's go back. Let's go back a few steps. What are you really feeling? Let's go back a few more steps. What are you really feeling? Anger, sadness, extreme loneliness, unworthiness, that I'm unlovable. Okay. This is your medicine. Your truth as your medicine, understanding, identifying these emotions, this will set you free. Let's go in and let's process that initial emotion before we start compounding with all these other emotions and then we don't even know what we're dealing with. Let's go back in there, let's understand it. So often this comes back to childhood or our conditioning. And when I talk about conditioning, guys, it's even movies, Disney. This prince, our knight in shining armor. And when women don't have that, when they reach a certain age and they haven't had a child or they're single, and I've seen this from women that are 25, I've seen this from women that are 50. We believe there is something wrong with us. We believe that we're a failure. Maybe you've been married and you've gone through a divorce. It doesn't mean anything. We make it mean something because we had this ideal of what a relationship should look like, of what a family unit should look like. And when our lives don't look like this, we perceive it as failure. But it's absolutely not failure. You're on your own path and other people are on their own path. And so what do you need when you recognize this emotion in the body and when you understand the initial emotion? How do you process the emotion? One piece of this puzzle is reparenting yourself. And if there was something you didn't get as a child, if there was something that you needed as a child and your needs weren't met, maybe you felt like you weren't good enough, you weren't smart enough, you weren't pretty enough, you need to go back and reparent yourself. You need to be your own role model. If you grew up with parents that criticized each other, criticized other people, maybe criticized you, you were conditioned to think that that is how you feel and think about other people. When we feel so whole and worthy and lovable within ourselves, we don't feel the need to criticize other people. I still do this work today. If I catch myself criticizing somebody else, I look internally, what is in me that needs to criticize? What is hurt or upset or sad within me that needs healing, that needs love, that needs nurturing? And I give myself that, because that validation, that worthiness, that love, that nurturing, that needs to come from within. And when we cultivate that love within, we will bring in situations, places, people, relationships that we become an energetic match for, a vibrational match for, and we will bring in the right people and circumstances. But we need to validate and love and nurture ourselves. And it's also allowing yourself to feel what you need to feel. If you feel sad, go and feel sad, cry. If you feel anxious, do something to move the energy, move your body, run, dance, play. If you feel angry, scream, punch a pillow. Do something to move the trapped emotion, energy and motion. Allow yourself to shift it, feel it, move it. Don't let it be trapped in the body. Well, guys, that was a really deep episode today. Let me know how it lands for you. What were your takeaways? What did you get out of this? Drop me a message on Instagram if there is anything that you would like me to speak on, if you would like me to take this further. If this really resonates for you and you would like to take this work deeper, please reach out to me on Instagram. I am .joedraper, or you can send me an email at hello@joedraper. I have places available for one-on-one private mentoring where we really take this to the next level, and it is such a game changer. We get to shift so much of what is going on for you. If you got something out of this, if you know somebody that could benefit from this, please pass this on, share this information. If you would like to share this to your Instagram or Facebook stories, make sure you tag me in so we can connect over in there as well. Sending you all the love, guys. Thank you so much for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. So much love.